Danfo offers unparalleled, curated and bespoke tours across Africa for travelers seeking genuine cultural experiences, enriched with magnificent sights, sounds and flavors found on the continent. Each trip is reliably curated to ensure visitors are gifted with an immersive and authentic adventure. Whether you find yourself strolling along the charming white sand beaches of Sierra Leone, feasting on the mouth-watering delicious foods in Senegal, observing or partaking in various aspects of the Isheshe traditional system Ifa native to Yoruba land, Nigeria, with Danfo, you will rediscover a fulfilling sense of kinship to the true heart of the motherland, her communities. Our core values focus on integrity, quality, safety, and sustainability. We are uniquely committed to assisting with the advancement of African infrastructure and promoting African businesses, so both travelers and the communities they visit receive beneficial exchanges. At Danfo, we understand the importance of connectivity, and we have created a model which provides bespoke experiences based on your passions or hobbies. With us, expect a long-lasting spiritual bond between you and your destinations. Live, love, Danfo, Africa. To learn more, visit danfo.africa.
Peace, family. We are live again. Dynasty Mirror Search for Huru. Thank you all. Thank you so much for joining. Hit that like button again. Please hit that like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Let's see here. What we doing? What we got going on this Saturday? Hand me some good old. There's a spot, a restaurant I go to here in Atlanta called Kemper's. It's a Jamaican restaurant or Caribbean. I think they're Jamaican. They got some good jerk wings. And they got some good sweet potato souffle. Like, the food is good. Because I'm telling you, I don't know why, but I rarely had good outside of Haitian. Now, Haitian food has been, for the most part, consistently good. But when it comes to other, like Jamaican or whatever, like, I've never really had consistently good, like, Jamaican food or other Caribbean food. Except for there's a Jamaican restaurant in LA called Aki Bamboo. Now, their food was off the chain. That's the best Jamaican food I've eaten that I've had was Aki Bamboo. But outside of that, Kempfer's is good, and that's about it. But every Haitian restaurant I've been to, Haitian food has been pretty much consistent and good. Let's see here something real quick. What is this? Yeah. Donis, why don't you go to visit Jamaica or Caribbean? I don't know. I just never really been excited to. Like, Haiti will probably be the first Caribbean country that I would visit because I like the food. But outside of that, I just never really been pressed to or excited to go to the Caribbean. But if I were to go, it would be Haiti. Haiti would be the first place that I'll go to, that I'll travel to. But guys, please hit that like button again. Please hit that like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. Let's see here. We are rolling to, where are we going, Dinus? Nigeria, Senegal, Zanzibar, Sierra Leone. We going to all these places. And if you want to roll, if you're interested in joining us, please visit Danfo. That's DANFO. Danfo. That's DANFO. .Africa to learn more. Again, please visit Danfo. Africa to learn more. We're going to Senegal in a couple months for the Jazz Festival. Then we're going to Nigeria in August for Oshun. Then we're hitting up Zanzibar in September. And then we're going to hit up Nigeria in August for Oshun. and then we're going to Sierra Leone, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire. That will be in. But I'm kind of thinking about, I don't know why, but I'm kind of thinking about doing in January, doing Namibia and South Africa. I'm thinking about doing that in January. I'm not sure yet, but I definitely want to go back to Namibia and South Africa. So yeah. Yes, you have to visit a Southern African country again. Yeah. Namibia or South Africa, definitely. Yeah, so guys, please visit donfo.africa. Again, please visit donfo.africa to learn more. Today's topic: can we defeat terrorism in the Sahel? We have thrown everything at it. You know, we have France, but we kicked France out. Now, Russia through Wagner Group, they getting their ass beat. Wagner Group got that. In fact, let me pull this up real quick. Wagner Group is getting their ass beat in the Sahel. Let me pull this up. So, I mean, what is there that we can do to really fight and conquer this radical Islam, these jihadis in the Sahel? But let's play this video real quick. Battle of Tinza Watin, and this is when Wagner Group caught hell in the Sahel. And this was in northern Mali. Fair use, France 24 TV.
Deep in the Sahara Desert, 4 Russian fighters are pinned down. One of them has brought a box of grenades. A response to the heavy machine guns of their attackers. The man who's filming takes cover behind a truck. The man who filmed that video was Nikita Fedyanin, a member of Russia's notorious Wagner Group. He was killed, his body filmed afterward by the separatist rebels who had attacked his convoy. According to the watchdog group All Eyes on Wagner, more than 50 Wagner operatives were killed, the group's biggest defeat since they arrived in Mali 2 years ago. These rare videos of the group in combat were filmed by Fedyanin and his comrades, then recovered from their bodies by the rebels. The videos filmed on.
Okay, but is it real or not? I mean, okay, I'm reading the comments. Search for Who It Is at France propaganda channel. The only major loss was when they got bombed, including Malian soldiers, Ukrainian. But is this real? Is it real or not? That's all I'm asking. And this is from 2024, I know. But there's still issues in the Sahel.
This one document what's being called the Battle of Tinzawatin. Mali has been split in two since 2012, when Tuareg separatists and their jihadist allies took over the northern part of the country. The government in Bamako has been fighting to take it back ever since, helped first by the French, and since 2022 by Wagner. The Malians and their Russian allies launched a counterattack last year, taking back the key city of Kidal. Since then, they have been advancing north, pushing back the Tuareg separatist rebels and the jihadists. On July 24th, a convoy of Malian and Wagner forces found themselves trapped between the Tuaregs of the CSP on an elevated plateau to their northwest and Islamist fighters known as the JNIM to the southeast. The column first came under attack from the Tuareg forces, then when they fell back from the Al-Qaeda-affiliated JNIM. A helicopter took off to help them, but had to land when it came under fire. The rebels took Malian army soldiers prisoner. They destroyed numerous pickups and armored vehicles and captured some intact, like this Chinese-made VP-11. Wagner has been active in Africa since 2017. Experts say
Dude, I know who funds
worst
France
defeat
24. Is
We're
it
looking
real
at
or is it
losses
not?
that exceed any of those of other skirmishes involving Wagner on the continent. I think that this was a very
Are these jihadis still an
poorly
issue in the
thought-out
Sahel?
effort,
Yes or no? That's all
in
I'm
northern
asking.
Mali near the border with Algeria.
The most visible loss was Nikita Fedyanin. He was administrator of the Grey Zone, one of the mercenary group's main propaganda channels. His comrades posted a tribute to him on Telegram. They recognized him because of his scarf and his watch.
He was somebody that didn't necessarily occupy a high-ranking position within the military organization, but nonetheless was respected and had a large public profile, was important to broader efforts to propagandize the group domestically and internationally, circulate images of Wagner fighters abroad, as well as imagery associated with Wagner, their symbols, etc.
Wagner has been known for working closely with its African allies and for not hesitating to go into combat. But the fiasco at Tinzaouaten has been heavily criticized by Russian bloggers, and the group's tactics could change.
There's really a matter here of the fact that they are willing to work closely with their local allies in a way that Western powers were not. That is to say that they're not going to bias towards force protection. They're going to bias towards undertaking efforts at specific objectives that might result in losses for them.
Go ahead, Masek. Masek, unmute yourself. Masek, unmute yourself. Masek, unmute yourself. All right, you guys got to get your getros together before you call in. Get your getros together before you call in.
And that wins them a lot of goodwill locally. But as I've said before, the Malians don't want them there to die. They want them there to fight and to win. And so if the Malians view this as embarrassing as well and try to place the blame on the Russians.
Can you hear me now?
I hear you now. Go ahead.
Change that incentive structure.
Yeah, I was saying that those videos, it did happen, but if you compare like the losses from JNIM and African Corp and the AES, they've been getting decimated. You know that there's a documentary of JNIM. They made a documentary with BBC complaining about how the African Corp of the certain interrogations, they were complaining about it, and they complained to Human Rights Watch how they're getting abused. But now what you see, remember I mentioned before on the previous show how JNIM is in the northern territories of Benin and Ivory Coast. You seen what happened recently in northern Benin, right?
But did something happen again recently?
Yeah, they just killed like 47 troops in Benin.
That was years ago.
No, this is recent.
No, that was in either early 25 or 24. Hold on, I'll look it up right now. Okay. Oh wow, 15.
Yeah.
Okay, so a day ago, 15 soldiers were killed in jihadist attack,
Yeah.
but in 2025, 54 were killed.
Okay. I must have mixed the dates.
Yeah,
but,
so 15 were killed yesterday.
yeah,
Yes.
and remember I told you about those 5 phases, and because the military is not well equipped in Benin, you're gonna start seeing more attacks, because what they're doing is they're attacking and seeing the response times, and once they see those response times, they're not coming as fast and quick enough. They're gonna keep attacking and start taking over more territory.
Well, that's my point. Yeah, but Benin borders with Burkina Faso or Niger? No, but Benin borders Burkina Faso, right?
Right.
Yeah, so that's the Sahel. That's that. Well, that's probably like the edge or beginning of the Sahel. But yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah,
It's a
and
problem.
the
I mean,
thing
when
is, it's
15
like,
when 15 soldiers get killed in one rip, I mean, come on.
yeah, and then the thing is, it's like, they're not going to fully get rid of it because again, those people, the JNIM, when they do the attacks, they run to northern Benin or they run the Ivory Coast. So they're going to keep coming. So the only thing they can do is just do what is called containment. They can just contain it and just keep an eye on those borders. That's why they got those drones. But
I
they
mean,
haven't been
you see what
successful.
happened something new is happening in northern Nigeria every day.
Right.
But a base in northern Nigeria got overran a couple of days ago in northern Nigeria. It's a problem. It's a problem. So the question is, can ECOWAS and the AES defeat this terrorism in the Sahel? It's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I know AES will become successful. I can't speak on ECOWAS because the way they do things is, I mean, you heard what Patrice Talon said about his army. He says that his army is not well equipped to fight, which is crazy. Which I never heard no one said that. And also, Alassane Ouattara said the same thing about his army. So if you're saying that you don't believe in your troops, that's just like sounds crazy.
Let me play this clip real quick, this new segment.
At Georgia Power, we're proud to power the people who power our state. From the
15 soldiers were killed in a jihadist attack on an army base in northern Benin, according to a statement by Benin's military on Thursday. Behind the attack, the Group for the Support of Islam and Muslims, or JNIM, a movement affiliated with Al-Qaeda. It claimed responsibility for the raid in Kofunu near the border with Niger on Wednesday. According to an army spokesman, 5 other soldiers were wounded during the attack, but survived. A regional journalist group said that the attacked army base was left pillaged and burnt down. Benin's military is now reportedly carrying out search operations for the terrorist group in the area. JNIM is increasingly recruiting members among the local population in Benin's north. The group has expanded its activities in recent years, multiplying attacks and raids in the border region. This is despite Benin's counter-terrorism efforts, including a 3,000-troop anti-jihadist force launched in 2022.
Yeah, but you see what I was saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the morale is, and that's why you saw that attempted coup that happened back in November. I mean, my bad, in December, because that guy Tigri, he was telling everybody what's going on, how like just like how what happened with Mali and Kidal, which France was there with their troops and JNIM was there, and France had told those Malian troops that they couldn't enter at Kidal because supposedly they didn't want no conflict, but that wasn't true because those JNIM members was giving minerals to France, and what you're seeing in Mali, it's the same thing you see in northern Benin because they're not allowed to enter on that territory unless France authorizes it.
Yeah, go ahead, Elvis.
All right, thank you, Dennis, and hello to the panel in the chat. Look, I think, like you said, most African countries, if not all, are not equipped to fight terrorism, especially the kind of terrorism that we're seeing with the, JNIM and Boko Haram. The cut and run kind is difficult to fight, and that's why you see some nations who've had some level of success with fighting terrorists always have help from the West. Now I know these Pan-Africanists who think that it's treasonous and you are an agent if you advocate for working with the West. They just don't understand that the West, number one, they have the weaponry, they have the production line to continue to sell you weapons and to give you
I have a
one
question
sec.
for you.
Okay, 1 second, please. And to give you intelligence. The biggest fight against terrorism is intelligence. Not many African countries have satellites to track the movement of these terrorists, in their countries. So we are lacking when it comes to the technology and the sustained, output of weapons to combat terrorism. And then there's the issue of ideology. What's driving these Africans to have these multiple terrorist groups that are fighting prolonged wars against their own brothers, in their own countries or sometimes neighboring countries? That's the question. I always go back to Kenya. Kenya, I remember, man, it was it was almost becoming worse than northern Nigeria because we used to see Al Shabaab or people associated with Al Shabaab going to university and killing people, slaughtering them, sometimes in the hundreds, going to malls in Mombasa and just opening fire on random people, killing them in the mall. And what did Kenya do? They didn't go and make a speech and say, we're cutting ties from the West and we're going to fight. They're supporting terrorists and we're going to fight the terrorists on our own. They partner with the West. They did it wholeheartedly and they kicked out Al Shabaab from their country and from that region. And Kenya today is one of the most stable countries in Eastern Africa. So,
All right.
okay, if you want to ask the question, ask the question.
Okay, so now I have a question. You said that unless you work with the West, right? So you are aware that, for example, France was in Mali back in 2013, 2014, and when they arrived, Mali lost more majority of territory. When France got kicked out and they started working with the Russians, you know that they gained back a majority of their territory. The same thing with Burkina Faso. So it's not just a West, because that's the case. Somalia's been getting bombed since what, 2007, 2010? Have they had any effect? Did they gain any ground in Somalia?
Okay.
And then also they answered, hold up, and also answering another question about the satellites. The AES do have satellites. However, they're using the Russian satellites to locate the JNIM. So right now they are building satellites. So hopefully by 2028, 2029, they should have their own indigenous satellites.
That's good. That's what they need. My point here is that, especially the United States, and some other Western countries that has a war on global terrorism, like the United States has declared a war on terrorism. And if you work with them in sincerity and you have a strategic plan and you have some level of resources to buy weapons, they'll give you some things for free, but the things that you really need is weaponry. And the most important thing is intelligence. And other countries have to study Kenya, how Kenya did it, because it's a success model on the continent. This isolationist idea that you can be by yourself and fight jihadists, or the Russians are going to come to your aid, like you said, they're using, their satellite. But now we know that terrorism is still happening in Burkina Faso.
Yeah,
Mali,
but the reason why,
let me just finish. I'll pass the mic to you. I get it. You want to say that. We're saying it. Dinus is asking the question.
Yeah.
Most of these countries are not equipped to fight terrorism on their own. You either have to run to the likes of Russia for help, or Western countries for help.
But can you be specific when you say most of these countries are not well equipped? Because here's I don't understand, right? Because you're saying that they're not well equipped. If they was not well equipped, how did they get back their territory? In order for you to get back your territory, you got to be well equipped. And it's not like we don't see it.
Who's helping them right now?
I'm saying Asia. I said Asia. China is helping them. Turkey has.
Okay, that's what I said. So I'm not wrong. I said most of these countries are not equipped to fight terrorism on their own. They need Western countries or other countries to come and help them.
That's why I got to correct you, because those countries I just named, they're not from the West, are they not? And then also to mention another point, you are aware the first thing when they got their sovereignty back, they went and asked for the West and say, hey, can we get some weapons? You know what they told them? They said, no, unless you go back to democracy, we're not going to give you nothing. So the AES was like, you know what? Fine. They went to get weapons from South America. And when that shipment came, it got blocked. So where was they supposed to get weapons? And then also when you do get weapons, it's stipulations. Like, for example, those jets that Nigeria got, you know what America told Nigeria? In order for you to use those jets, you got to get authorization for us. So what's the point of you paying millions of dollars for some jets that you got to get authorization from the US to use?
I mean, you can find a million excuses. Hold on, bro. It was my time. I passed the mic to you, but let me finish.
Hold on.
I don't like what you're doing. That's being disrespectful. Let me finish, bro.
Wait, hold on. I didn't.
No, don't tell me to hold on. I give you a chance to interrupt. Don't tell me. No, don't stop calling my name. I'm being cool.
I didn't
No,
finish my
listen,
point.
bro.
Listen,
Let
I'm
me
gonna listen
finish
to
my
you.
point.
Just let me. Just
Why
give
you
me.
so hard on
No,
speaking over me? Let me
Just give me
finish my
5
point,
seconds.
bro.
Give me 5 seconds. Just give me 5 seconds. While Saudi Arabia and Israel don't get the same authorization, they get to use those weapons, but yet Nigeria has to get authorization. So what's the
What?
point of getting those
May,
weapons?
may, may
But
I
go
say,
ahead, continue.
can I ask a question? Are we just this incompetent where we can't build our own weapons? I mean,
But the
golly, man, it's so
but Dinah,
embarrassing.
okay,
It's
but
so
Dinah,
embarrassing, bro.
but
Just as an African, as a black person, are we just this weak and incompetent where we can't build a damn
but Dinah,
a military that's worth a damn?
but Dennis, to answer your question, the AES is building local ammunition, also build local drones, and you got to understand that because of what happened, it's going to take time. They're on
Oh
certain
boy.
levels. Right now, they're on
Oh.
they're on phase 3, so they do have local ammunition, explosives, and drones, and hopefully,
Yeah, let me finish, man. I don't know where you're from. I think you said you was from Guinea. Where are you from?
I'm from Guinea.
Okay. So look, I'm telling you something simple, and you agree with me. These countries are not equipped by themselves to fight terrorism. Full stop. Now you're saying that these guys are getting help from Russia, which is fine. They need that help. Without Russia, without China, they will be struggling even more. So my point here is look at what happened in Kenya. Study what happened in Kenya. I know you don't like to mention the United States of America, but they were successful in Kenya, and Kenya has been doing well. The Kenyans didn't just rely on the Americans to come there and fight a war for them. They put their soldiers on the line. They used their intelligence, they bought weaponry, and they worked hand in hand with the United States and other Western allies to get rid of Al Shabaab, and they were successful in doing it. That's my point.
And
I passed the
and
line.
what do you and what do you think AES is doing?
Okay, I mean, I guess they're having tremendous success. The terrorists, they're being defeated left and right, and the AES is having tremendous success. Is that
Have you ever watched the reports? Did you watch ORTM? Did you watch RTB? Did you watch RTN? Did you watch ASTV? They talk about it all the time.
Dynas is doing the show tonight? Ask Dynas. He knows more about it, right? If the AES
But
is having tremendous success
I
in
mean,
fighting terrorism.
I have people on the ground in Mali, and it's in northern Mali is not safe.
Diners, I did send you a message on Facebook on those networks though, right? Did you get
I
those
did.
links I sent you?
I got people in northern Mali in Mopti, and they're just like dying. It ain't safe up here.
But what I'm saying is if you compare of what they had from France until now, they had gained way more territory from now than before when France was there.
Okay.
Okay. Again, it's just they're saying dying. This is not safe. I've been trying to get back to Jenne and Sevare and Dogon country and Mopti, and he's just like dying. It ain't where it need to be yet. Let me pass my to Ngolo. Go ahead, Ngolo.
Good afternoon. In my opinion, it's categorically the AES. The AES is the only entity in Africa right now currently that I could say that is fighting actual terrorists, which that would be France and all of the other neo-colonial entities. These Islamic fundamentalist groups are not organic occurrences. This stuff, when you trace back the paper trail, it's always going to be an external force that's mobilizing these groups. Now, sometimes they do organically form, and like what the U.S. is doing right now with the Kurds, they're trying to influence people to destabilize things that go with interest. Now, it can be directly from a government entity, or it can be from a multinational corporation. I'm done with the naivety that people try to postulate that all of this stuff is altruistic, and these governments that come in and create these problems and then act like they're finna form solutions. That's actually what's going on. So it's definitely the AES. They're the only upright entity right now in the continent, in my opinion. But again, I'll let somebody else speak.
All right, go ahead, Africa.
Greetings to everyone, Dennis. Thank you so much again for a great platform. Everyone hit the like buttons. That will help. It don't cost you anything. So I want to start, by I think it's both AES and ECOWAS. It's about time they come together, man. Dennis, you're 100% spot on. When are we going to outsource? When are we going to stop outsourcing our security? When? This is a problem. We need to stop outsourcing our security. Unfortunately, you know, um, some of our brothers, they're saying, "Oh, let's rely on the West only." let's rely on Russia only. It's just it sounds so ridiculous. It's like it's just so hopeless, bro. You know, I mean, America, greatest ally in the world, okay, is Great Britain. When we had the Second World War, when we had the Second World War in Europe, the First and the Second World War, America helped Britain, they fight in the war. But guess what they did? They crumbled the British Empire by making sure they pay heavily for the arms that they supply to help fight the war, and also they add interest on top of that. And at the same time, they came back. Second World War. There's a lot of people in the UK believe that America was behind the Second World War because they wanted to sell arms. Also, they done the same thing. You can't when you outsource security like that, you can never have peace. Okay. Just to point a couple of things out, Elvis, Nigeria have satellites. Okay, they do have satellites to fight in security. So it's not true to say we have to rely on Western satellites only to fight these things. That's not true. They do have it. And so that's, just having a satellite simply doesn't solve the entire solution. It just shows how naive some of our brothers in the continent are, thinking, by thinking just by having a satellite to solve the problem when we have NATO in the Sahel for over 10 years. NATO been fighting the same jihadists in the Sahel for over 10 years. They lost the battle. Let's face it. They either lost the battle or we know it was behind the jihadist movement in the Sahel. It's one of it. Okay, because this military guy that you see in the AES today, they lost hope. Okay, they like, hang on a minute, you've been here for how many years? You got the biggest drone base in the world built in Niger Republic. You got the entire NATO force in the Sahel, fighting these guys, but they're just gaining grounds and they're gaining grounds.
Blame everything and everyone except the Islamic Muslims who are causing the problems.
Listen, I understand your Biafran ideology, against certain sector religion and certain sector people. I understand, we can't help you like that unless you go and actually, clean up your mind and actually start having, a rational mind like everybody else is doing here to realize, okay, they call themselves a jihadist or Islamist group, but obviously we all know, yes, they are. That's how they name themselves, but we know majority of the Muslim people in the world don't behave like how they behave, okay? And majority of the Muslims in the continent don't accept what they're doing because majority of the people also that have been killed by the jihadists are also Muslims. So until you get your right,
so who's the problem? Is the West? That's the problem.
I am not saying it's West. Listen, you sound like an agent now. Honestly, when people come online, when people come online and say, "Oh, nobody mentioned the West here," about saying the West done this, but when you try to shove that in my throat, I can't wrap my head around it.
That's the center point of it.
No,
Islamic jihadism. No. That's the center point of it.
You just listen. You just insult my brother Mansaki for interjecting, and you're doing the same thing. Okay, look, nobody is saying they haven't named themselves Islamic jihadists. Nobody is saying these people are doing it. They haven't claimed to be Muslim. But let's be honest. Majority of the victims also are Muslims. So how can they be so-called Islamic people when they're doing that? This is not the topic about Islamic and Christianity and religion because people like you just want to twist the whole thing to make it sound like it's a religious thingy. Let's leave that alone, please. Let's look at the real problem that we're facing. Okay.
What are you talking about? Boko Haram literally said Western education is forbidden. They're fighting it based on a religious, ideology.
What am I saying? Why are you saying when Rick Perry, an American Senate, in daylight said, why is USAID being used to fund Boko Haram, Elvis? Why?
Oh, so now USAID is killing the Nigerians in northern Nigeria.
Can you answer that question? that question?
No, but like I said, blame everyone. Was it not
a Muslim man? Was it not a Muslim man? The late Sani Abacha. Was he not a Muslim man? Sani Abacha, senior military officer Buhari, who went and saved a majority Christian country in Liberia, during the war?
Am I blaming them? Am I blaming them? Or am I blaming jihadists and Muslim terrorists?
Was it not majority Muslim soldiers?
Are we talking about Muslim here or Muslim jihadists and terrorists?
Well, you are trying to twist the whole narrative, like
because you feel attacked as a Muslim, you don't want to attack your fellow Muslim who are terrorists. I'm not attacking Muslims. I'm attacking terrorists.
Thank you. Absolutely brilliant. Now you're talking
Who
sense. Now,
happen to be
if you
Muslim
say
and are
if you
carrying out
say
the terrorism based on their religious
Elvin,
ideology.
if they're terrorists call themselves Muslim, I have nothing to do. And listen, I have no
You don't
business.
criticize them enough
I,
here. You always put
I
the blame elsewhere, but except the terrorists that's doing the actual killing on the
You
ground.
see, again, you're shoving your own words in my mouth.
Okay.
Yeah, based on your
I'm only
own,
observing and telling you what I observed.
based on your own. You think because I'm a Muslim, I'm being biased, towards a terrorist. God, what kind of logic are you? What kind of man are you? That's the question you need to ask yourself. What have you? What
Can
happened to
jihadist
you?
terrorists act on their own?
What
I
happened
mean,
to someone like you to actually lack
No, that's my question
the
for you,
hey,
brother.
logical
Al,
thinking?
Can jihadist
Yeah.
terrorists act on
hey,
their
Al,
own without
Elvis.
them
I
being
mean, he
influenced
did
by the
say he has
West?
a hatred for Muslims, though. You know, he said that, right?
It's exactly. He said that before, didn't he? He said it
Yeah, he
without a
said
doubt.
disdain
He's
Muslims.
The
he's
problem
heavily
here, all of these
Islamophobic.
terrorist organizations in these different countries, they're not Christian
So
organizations. They're not claiming
you
to be
haven't asked.
Christians. They are all
Okay,
You're
so
not.
Muslims.
if that's the
They
case,
have something in common.
so Elvis, if that's the case, so what about Cody from Uganda? Was he not a Christian? Was he not masking people
No.
in Uganda?
Well,
Like, come on, man.
oh, you
What
calling
about
with Joseph?
what about General Boat Naked in Liberia, who is currently a pastor? Yeah, in Liberia, who's still alive, running around in Monrovia. Yeah, who
Yeah, he wasn't
butchered
a
and
pastor
killed your
when he was
people.
doing his killings.
Oh, so that's no, that's the
Listen,
excuse.
He was a
listen.
pagan,
Look at the
sacrificing
son.
humans when he was killing. He wasn't a Christian
So,
doing it in the
Listen.
name of
Guys,
Christianity.
So
guys,
listen.
let Africa speak uninterrupted for a minute. I got to pass the mic.
Thank you very much. This is what they do. These are the agents of disaster in our community. And we're going to check you out, bro. Okay? I agree with you. A lot of stuff that you used to say, Elvis. But the more I listen to you recently, I'm actually start to think you are agent, bro. You behave like an agent. You cannot wrap your head, I cannot wrap my head around it. The reality is, these people are terrorists. Let's just call them what they are. They're terrorists. Whether they're Muslim, whether they're Christians, whether they're atheists, they terrorists. Terrorists is terrorists. Nobody should be friendly with terrorists. Nobody should defend terrorism. Okay, and also nobody should be arguing. Okay, in support of terrorism unless if they are terrorists. Okay, the reality is we know for a fact that these guys, the way they behave, yeah, they don't like us, regardless where they came from. They don't like they don't want the betterness of African people. They don't want us to advance. Okay, whoever they're working with, these people still carry the same agenda. So you work that out. So now the NATO got removed from the AEF from the Sahel. Okay, and they've been replaced by Wagner. Yeah, and now these guys have fought hard locally. Okay, they have managed to gain some ground, but also they're struggling with guerrilla tactics. In my opinion, I think ECOWAS and AES should come together. Exactly what I said yesterday on that show. The Mansa and the farmer should come together for once in the entire history of West Africa and deal with this once and for all. But we should, as Daniel said, we should start making our own weapons. And that's exactly what the previous president in Nigeria did when before he died. He actually advocate and he also spend a lot of money in building a weapon in Nigeria fighting Boko Haram that cost them less money than buying. And also, you had what they just said to you. America supplied Tucano jet to Nigeria, but they need permission for it to be used against terrorism, against the terrorists in Nigeria. You see, let's be honest. If we want solution in our continent, in our region, let's face it. We are facing external enemies. Okay, this is it. We have to come together and stop playing these religious things and things that are dividing us more. It's not going to get us nowhere. I'll pass the mic for now, Diane. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Pierre.
Yeah, hello? Hello, you can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, Dynast, I owe you an apology for last time. I didn't know it was you that was talking, so sorry about that, man. I owe you an apology.
Oh, it's all good. Go ahead.
Sorry, man. But yeah, man, I just wanted to talk about the war on terror, because you guys talking about fighting terror and terrorism or whatever. I got to let you guys know that the war on terror began on 9/11. That's when the war on terror, quote unquote, the war on terror began. And what we're finding out about 9/11 is that it's not the official narrative that they gave the public about 9/11 isn't what it truly was, because 9/11 was actually an inside job by a small state which is in the Middle East right now, trying to have influence over the U.S. And also it was the 9/11. There's a lot of suspect issues about a certain class of people that was involved in it or whatever. But when you look at it, we got the Patriot Act out of it. The Patriot Act robbed a lot of people of rights in the U.S. And also the war on terror allowed them to wage a war, an arbitrary war with no target. It's an open war for the military industrial complex to wage and point and use for everything. Now, the war on terror, when you look at it in the intelligence aspect of intelligence and the Epstein class and how they're connected to the Middle East, when you look up how they set up the Gulf states or whatever, and their connections to Israel or whatever, they use it's an old colonial tactic, and I don't understand why the Asians, the Chinese, they're the ones, they got up on game on this quick. I have no idea why Africa isn't up on game on the tactics, colonial tactics they use. I'm gonna give the guy mad respect, Assimi Goita. He's the one that came out and said it. The West is behind the war on terror in Africa. They have NED, National Endowments, NED. They have a lot funding these people to destabilize y'all. Now, he was the first to say it. It's the truth. It's foreigners funding the quote unquote war on terror. They use that terror label. They put it on anybody they want. They put it on even Americans when they had the immigrants and the ICE shit. They put it over there. They put it on the terrorist gangs in Haiti, trying to barbecue them, trying to call. That's an arbitrary term they use to target anything they want. Now, when you look at what the AES did, basically they were making no money because ECOWAS, France was still controlling their banks, still controlling their money. You know what I'm saying? They still find a way to make. Now, the thing about it is, when they broke away, the whole ECOWAS should have broke away with them, followed them, and formed their own thing. But that goes to show you that you could bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. But basically, now that AES has formed, basically they're doing whatever counter thing to break them off. They're using whatever they can, the nations around them, whatever, to destabilize them or stop what they're doing. But when you look at it, from the Sudan to the Congo to different areas of Africa where the natural resources at, those are the areas they stabilize and they put them there to destabilize. But yeah, it's the West that's behind the war on terror. They used it. It's a genius tactic they moved. They started on 9/11. 9/11, I can't really get into 9/11 now, but say too much, about 9/11. But basically, that's what they use, and they use the Epstein class to wage their war. And the thing is arbitrary. They could wage it as long as they want, and they could label it on anybody, and they could use their thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's it. So that's all I gotta say, and I listen to you guys for now. Peace.
All right, go ahead, Passport King. Guys, hit the like button again. Please hit that like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. And don't be stingy with the super chats. All right, go ahead, Passport King.
Good evening, everybody. I hope everyone is well. And just chiming in real quickly. And you already know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say it again. This is exactly what I mentioned many times before. This is the direct result of the tribalism throughout the African motherland. Sub-Sahara, mind you, even North Africa is included to a certain point, but it's a little bit different with the Arabs. But this is the results of tribalism. Before you even start talking about one African country against another, you have Africans supposedly citizens of the same nation. because they're of different tribes, they will fight each other to the death. This is before you even bring in religion. All of this dysfunctional foolishness is what the root source of these problems. Now, look, I'm not letting the Western powers off the hook. We know that Western nations meddle in Africa, but so does China, so does India. We know why it succeeds, because of tribalism and being at each other's throats. Y'all so busy, the ones who are Africans, talking about this tribe here is this way or that tribe is that way. And to outsiders, they can't tell y'all apart. Y'all look the same. You know, y'all swear you look different. But the big point is this: to bring it to the bigger picture. When y'all try to talk trash about Black Americans, U.S. slavery descendants, whether we go by freedmen or descendants of American slaves or ADOS or FBA or Sulon, now
Bro,
you
you're not
see why
FBA, bro. You have a Caribbean accent, bro. I can
man,
hear it. You're not
stop
FBA.
playing games.
This is
You want
nonsense,
to
brother.
utter
Don't,
me.
don't interrupt him. Go ahead.
You want to utter me. And look, I tell you what, if you want to believe I'm Caribbean and that gives you a win in your mind, guess what? You got my permission to. Now, how does that change anything I just said about tribalism in Africa? How does that change anything about what I said about Black Americans and us delineating? We won't be tied up in that foolishness. And here's the bigger problem. When y'all come to
He's right.
America, hold on.
He's right.
Here's the bigger problem. When you come to America, y'all bring that same tribalism mindset with you, and it's caused a lot of problems in the Black community. And don't try to deflect and say I'm exaggerating or I'm picking on Africans. Look at the failure of the Essence Fest. Essence is on its way to becoming bankrupt, and rightfully so, because some African managed to scrape up some money to buy it. They thought they could just Africanize it. Now Essence Fest and Essence Magazine is a failure. They try to do the same thing that HBCUs. They have African Takeover Day. And mind you, I don't want y'all to think I'm picking on the Africans. The Caribbeans are no better. And then on top of that, you want to claim not only the music and greatness and history of Black Americans and insert yourselves where y'all have no part in it. Y'all want to come in and act like we don't understand. I know this is about Africa, but it's the same tribalism mindset. When you come in, you're hostile against us. But anyway, let me land my plane. I think I made my point.
You're Caribbean, bro. We hear your accent. Stop claiming FBA.
Why does you fantasize? I'm curious. Why does you
It's the next
fantasize
speaker, man.
about me
It's
being
CD's turn.
Caribbean? What
Elvis, why does it make it different? What
Oh, no,
so what? So what if it's Caribbean?
I agree with
So what if
I
it's
agree with the
Caribbean?
tribalism stuff. But lying and claiming to be FBA when you clearly have a Caribbean accent
Bro,
is
why do
it's
y'all
an
set him
embarrassment.
up for
So what?
debate? He wants y'all to do this, man. Go let
I
CD
know.
talk. Don't address
No,
what
it's
he
not.
said.
No, I'm
He said
sure.
it
No, it
before. He
just
says it every
what
time he
he's
comes
saying
on
is
here. Let
very
CD talk.
comical.
What does you
It's
Very
CD's
comical.
turn, man. It's CD's turn.
No, well, hold
It's
on.
CD's
I'm
turn.
gonna play devil's advocate. Let's say you're right.
Don't
I'm gonna play
when
along.
he
Hold on,
whatever he
hold on.
says,
No,
don't
I am
respond
right,
to
bro. I
it,
hear your
please.
accent. Why you
Hold on.
lying and trying to cosplay
Bro,
FBA? You're
just
not
let him
FBA.
finish
Let's
and
play
then
devil's
don't say
advocate.
nothing to him. Then let CD
Let's
talk
say you're right.
afterwards.
Let's say you're right. Let's say I was, which is a lie. But let's say I was. What would that change about what I just stated? Okay, you're
I
right.
said I agree with the tribalism stuff, yeah. But
Hold on.
the lie is
Let's say
that
you're right.
you're FBA,
You
which
want
you're
that
not.
claim
Bro,
I'm
y'all just
Caribbean,
can't
I'm
help yourself.
pretending.
Y'all got to
Let's say,
engage in the
hold
same
on. I'm gonna
conversation,
play
bro.
along with. I'm gonna play. I know it's low IQ.
You sound like Delroy, man.
I'm gonna play along with it. Let's say you're right. What does that just change about everything I just stated? Now go.
I told you I agree with the tribalism thing about Africa, but the lie that you told was that you're FBA. That's all. Two
It's
things.
CD's turn to speak, man.
So in other words, you have to try to utter me from my lineage and heritage.
But the ladies, bro.
Dynasty, he succeeded his time. It's CD's turn to speak.
I got to pass the mic. Go ahead, CD.
Hey guys, hey
Elvis,
panel.
I would say this, Elvis. You are interrupting people, and you were complaining about Mansake interrupting you. So some decorum, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Go ahead, CD.
Hey, so with the AES and ECOWAS, I think AES still got a long way to go. They just started. ECOWAS being functioning, they have carried a lot of operations in West Africa. They were able to resolve the civil war in Liberia, in Sierra Leone, called ECOMOG, and that was a successful operation. So AES got a long way to go. These are countries that don't have enemy of transporting goods into their country. They still depend on ECOWAS countries. They still use CFA, so they got a long way to go. We shouldn't. If you have been to those AES country, you know those are struggling countries. They haven't gone anywhere yet. With the problem in Africa, all the time people talk about tribalism. I don't think there's a tribalism problem in Africa. I don't think so because the reason why I'm able to travel in a lot of West African countries because of my tribe. So people link those countries based on travel line, right? So like if you go to part of Ivory Coast, you'll find the Crown tribe in Ivory Coast, and you'll find a Crown in Liberia. You find a Madingo in Ivory Coast. You'll find in Liberia. So people being connected, people trade among themselves based on the common dialect that they speak, right? So every problem in Africa, people always blame it on travel situation. I don't think so, right? How about like in America, where in Chicago, black people killing each other every day? Will you say that's a travel problem? No. How about in Harlem that are being sold to white people? Right now, you find very few black people. Was that a tribal issue? No. That's a black issue. That had nothing to do with tribal at all. In fact, having those tribes in West Africa help people to interact, to do businesses among themselves, to even marry from each other families. So I don't think that's a tribal issue. So and AES got a long way to go. They just started. So we shouldn't promote them to certain level, right? These are military government. We don't even know what is their motive. Are they using their citizen to say, well, AES we're trying to stay on our own? We don't know. So military government, when it comes, they manipulate their citizens. They say, well, this is what we're fighting for. But at the end of the day, they pocketing all the money. So we don't know what their end game is. So you can't compare years with
Yo, can I respond to this guy? I want to
ECOWAS.
respond to this guy. Can I respond to
So
you?
But let him finish first, brother.
Yeah, you can respond if you want. Yeah.
Okay,
You got to
look, this is
declare that
what I
you're
want to
finished
say
so
real
people
quick.
know when to respond.
Check this out. Check this out, boss. I just want to say a quick response to you real quick. You could continue what you're saying. Look, real talk. When you say AES, when you compare AES to ECOWAS, AES is already doing better because ECOWAS is still under France. AES got their own bank already. They control their gold already. They're already there. AES is eons ahead of all of the rest of them. And when you look down the line 5 years from now, AES is going to benefit from controlling their own self because ECOWAS is still under France. All their money has to go to the Bank of France, boss.
But okay, let
Now,
me answer
wait.
to
I
you.
just want to make one more thing. Wait, let
let
me
me
make one more thing, and you could put about the tribalism thing. The thing about the tribalism thing is when you look at the colonial forces, what they do is when you look at what happened with Rwanda, they take one tribe and they try to take a small tribe and they give him power, whoever, England, France, or whatever, and that tribe that gives power is the one that kills all the others. It's how they works. We're just giving you game on colonialism. Don't take it personal. All we're saying is Africa as a continent should be doing way better right now. And you guys were dealing with colonialism.
or let me
They
let me
were coming
respond.
from
Let me respond
Spain
to what you
and
said.
China,
Let me respond.
way before China, and China's way ahead of you, ready to go to war. And you guys are still like falling behind because you didn't follow when Kwame and Nkrumah gave you the blueprint. You guys didn't follow it. But
Okay,
the
let me
humans they
respond to what you
use the
said.
different tribes against
Peter,
you guys.
let him
And that's
respond,
what I'm
bro.
Let me
It was his
saying.
respond.
time.
You repeating yourself. So you said ECOWAS is a French control organization, right? You mistaking Francophone Africa to be the whole of ECOWAS. The chairman right now is Madabio. The Sierra Leone was colonized by the British. So I don't know I would say the English formed West Africa, they have more power in ECOWAS than the French part. When you talk about, CDAO, I mean, ECOWAS, you talk about Nigeria, which is the biggest country, the largest country in West Africa. We have Ghana, we have Sierra Leone, we have Liberia. So they play a very big major role in ECOWAS. So you mistaking Francophone to be part of the whole ECOWAS, that's completely wrong. The chairmanship being in control of the English formed country for a long time. And we would dominate, ECOWAS, in the English part of West Africa. You talk about tribalism. I'm telling you, tribal war in Africa, it connects us to each other. I have benefited from it a lot. Not on the political side, but on the economic side, it helped people a lot to interact because a lot of people in Africa don't speak French, they don't speak English, but they trade in their common languages, and which helped them a lot. So when you guys talk about tribal issue, the killing are going in America, like the South Side Chicago, or selling certain part of Black neighborhood got nothing to do with tribal war, right? But Black people doing it here. You never see in Africa where someone crossing the border from Guinea to go to Ivory Coast to kill another tribe. No.
Okay.
Right. So when you say a
Look.
tribal war, you
Look.
always to claim this thing to be a tribal war in Africa is the one that causing trouble. That's a big lie. That's not true.
Okay, can I
It wouldn't
say
happen.
something?
Let me tell you, it wouldn't happen when military leader come and try to manipulate his tribe to say, well, we are in control, people are against. So, and that happened probably 5 to 10%. Not all the military leaders rule like that. Like, for example, in Guinea right now,
You got 30 seconds. I got to pass the
the
mic.
vice president is Fulani, right? The president is Madingo. If you go to Sierra Leone, the vice president there is Sula, right? The president there is what? He's
Mende Shabro.
Mende. If you go to if you go to Liberia right now, the vice president is from where? From Nimba, and the president from where? From Lofa. So no tribal issue, people getting rid of it. It's not a dominant issue in Africa. But
I
all
think
of you just guys said
except
it.
Nigeria, city. Nigeria is Southern Nigerians. Southern Nigerians are the people that we can actually say, yeah, these are tribalistic people.
Yeah, so we don't have those issues. So
Southern like
and that's
Nigerians are
fine.
tribalistic, not the
Brother, you can't
Fulani
do that, brother. Come on, brother.
Muslim in the
Come on.
north.
Let's not go into
Wow.
that conversation.
So all in
We know
all,
that.
those tribal issues is not a big issue in Africa at all. So you guys should you talk about French Africa, say French controlling ECOWAS. That doesn't make no sense. Well, then for now.
Okay, now you're saying that French. I'm trying to understand what you're saying about ECOWAS. You're saying, okay, French Africa is in ECOWAS, right?
That's why you don't
No,
understand. You
French
got to
Africa is
read.
all over Africa. All French speaking
French
African
Africa is
countries
all
is
over
French Africa.
Africa.
Guy,
If you read,
I
you understand.
I gotta pass the mic to M. Go ahead and mute yourself, M.
Yeah, what's up, Dynas and everybody? I usually don't interject in these conversations when it talks about Africa, ECOWAS, and whatnot, because I have to do more research, so I just sit back and listen. But I heard CD mention Chicago and how it's not tribalism, it's just black people killing each other. That shows that he has a lack of understanding of what's going on. See, in Chicago, LA, California too, Dynas knows, it's all tribalism. We have over 70 different nations in Chicago, which they call gangs. Each one is under a particular star. One is under the 5, which is Islam. The other's under the 6, which is like Israel. And this goes back to the Native Americans when you have the Iroquois nations and the Algonquin. The Iroquois nation was called the 6 Nations. You got the 5. It's the same exact tribalism that the Europeans exploited when they came here, because we always have the tribalism here, and it continues in our everyday lives in Chicago. And you looking at it just black people killing each other. But if you don't know, the other guy who's allegedly from Chicago should have said this, but when you got a person that just identify you solely off your ideology and a star and the colors, that has nothing to do with being black. It don't matter what your race is. It's all about your nation, and that's
Brother, that's
exactly
not
why a
going
lot.
on no more, man.
It's
That ain't
still
going on
going
no
on.
more. Ain't nobody going off no nations no more, brother. Come on, it's not the
I
80s
mean,
no more.
if anybody claim any type of so-called set, it's under a nation. But I would
Bro,
say
it's
this though.
blocks, man. It's blocks on blocks, man. It ain't got nothing to do with no nations, man. All the nations is
But how is block
damn
on
near
block not
depends on the
tribalism? How
block.
is that not? How is that
No,
not
I'm not
tribalism?
saying it's not though, but you making it seem like it's the 80s and the 70s still, bro. Come on, it's not going on like that.
Nah,
Don't nobody care
Chicago
about the
is
fin of the
folk
6 no more,
nation.
brother.
Chicago is folk nation, boss. Chicago is folk nation.
Man, you
See,
don't
he
know
even know what you
Chicago,
talking about.
bro.
What you
That-
talking
Yeah, you don't
about?
know what you're talking
It's
about.
all
It's over
tribalism.
with, bro.
Hey, guys, let him finish. Go ahead, M.
See, he just interrupted because he should have been the one that said this. But we also have, before the black people divided into all these nations, we had the black souls. They was in Bronzeville. They ran a policy just like in New York. We was like one nation, and we control. And the mob was the one doing the killing. You had we had the five gangs in New York came to Chicago. You had Al Capone, the Italians against the Irish, against the who else? The Scandinavians, Ukraine. They still got the tribalism going on in Chicago, and even the Chinese got the triads and the Japanese. Chicago got every nation got a gangs here, and they still killing. And then you got serial killers like 500 black women came up missing, was found in garbage cans because they say it was a serial killer attacking, killing black people. And then you got Latinos killing each other because a lot of Latinos are under the same nations that the black people under. So Chicago, the killing is all tribalism, it's all racial, and it's and then you got the guy that say from Nigeria, the Nigerian president was allegedly in Chicago dealing dope. So the Africans got they gangs here, and I heard about the Somalians in Minnesota got their gangs that they brought from Somalia, and then the Venezuela, the Trinidad and Tobago brought their gangs, but it's all based on something other than just being a race. They got their nation, whatever their star is. This is the same thing that's going on in Africa, and it's being exploited. These differences are being exploited for a bigger purpose. Like the guy that went to Chicago State, I can't even remember his name, from the president now. And CD talk about he was pushing dope in the south side of Chicago. So yeah, I just wanted to interject that aspect, but I don't want to talk about the African business because I need to do more research about that.
All right, go ahead, Idris. Mute yourself, Idris.
Yeah. Hey, Dennis and everybody. Good evening. Yeah. I mean, to say tribalism is not an issue in Africa, it's like saying the African attires are not African. Please, tribalism has always been an issue. It's not the only issue, but it's one of the major issues. So I don't know why. You spoke about Sierra Leone. Do you know the issues in Sierra Leone now? Even with the government that's in power, we are split into two. There is a sector that will never vote for this side because of their region and tribe. So to say tribalism is not an issue, it's a sad thing because in the case of Sierra Leone, which I know very well, if you remove yourself from any of those two groups, you will never win an election in that country. Because when you go to the rural areas, those people don't even know what you are talking about. All they care about is the color of the team they support or the leaders in that team. They don't want to know what they're going to do for them. Are they going to come and change their life? No, they just vote based on the colors. So please, let's not talk about that. I go to a Nigerian church in this country. I'm telling you, if you go to a Yoruba church, you will hardly see an Igbo person there because they don't intermarriage that easy. So what are we talking about? You think Ivory Coast,
please let me speak after him.
Ivory Coast, some of the issues that led to the war was also because of tribe, because there is a specific tribe that kept winning the election. So the other group was like, oh, no, we have to also part. So these issues that
That's not true. That's not true about Ivory Coast. That's not true. Okay.
But I'm just saying, these issues
but
always
you just
up.
lied. That's not true.
All right, but I know. Even in Ivory Coast, there are tribe. The election, the governments, we are based on tribe and region. Yes,
He's right. He's right
But
to a degree.
that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying what I said
he
is.
said
I'm not
there's
saying
a
that's the
tribe that
main
continuously
issue.
win the election. That's not true. There was not a tribe that continuously win the
No.
election.
What I'm
There's a
saying
tribal
is,
issue in Ivory Coast, but it's not
yeah.
the
But hold on,
because
my
there's
brother.
tribe that was
What I'm saying, one of the major issue in Africa, I don't care how you make it, has to do with our different tribes. I don't care how you make it. Even the Liberian War, it came to a point, certain tribes started killing the other tribes because of that. The Sierra Leonean War almost got to that point. I'm telling you because I experienced it. When
Sierra Leone War was not a tribal war at
He
all.
no, you
said
still not
almost got
listening to what
there. We
I'm
know it wasn't.
saying.
No, but
I
because
said it
he,
almost got to it, my
no,
brother.
Sierra
I
Leone
went.
War had nothing to do with tribe.
You
That's not
still
what
not
he's saying.
listening
He
to
didn't
me.
say it
Oh
had. He
my
said
goodness.
it was escalating to that point.
If I can interject, it did somewhat because once the rebels, let me finish.
Yeah.
Once the rebels entered Freetown, they started to go after the Creoles.
Even besides that,
Specifically the Forobay, the Forobay
Dinas,
people.
when because I grew up in Freetown, I went to secondary school in Kenema. My accent with the Mende is not as good. When we ran away, when the rebels were the first time they actually came to Kenema, when we ran away, we went over the Kambu Hills and went into where the main base was for the Kamajors, because my stepmom was one of the SLPP leaders. So we had to run because they will come to our house and most likely burn it down. When we ran, when the Kamajors ambushed us in the forest, I'm telling you, they almost arrested me and my younger brother because our accent was not as clear, and they thought these were spies. If they killed a Timini person right in front of us, and I'm telling you, the reason they killed him is because he could not speak Mende. I don't think they had any evidence that he was a rebel. So let's not argue that. I experienced it personally. I'm talking from personal experience.
That is, please let me come in, please.
It's not your turn yet, Elvis.
No, I was asking for permission to speak if you're allowed.
Yeah, you can speak.
Go ahead, Elvis.
All right, thank you, Dinas. Look, I want to agree with City to a degree. I think tribalism is a problem domestically in these countries. But in terms of what's hurting the continent as a whole with terrorism, it's not tribalism that unites them, it's religion that unites them. So within these different terrorist groups, you have different tribes. Some of them may be interrelated, but the thing that brings them together is the religious ideology that they're fighting for and trying to conquer a specific part of their country. So like the brother was saying, in Ivory Coast, Laurent Gbagbo, which is a crewman from the Beta people, he's from the what they call the Grand West, the western part of the country. It's a lot of crew groups that's in that cluster mixed with some Mende groups, and they were the one that was really running the country along with the Baoulé, which is our Khan group. And then the northern part of the country was feeling disenfranchised, and based on their religion, in their region, they felt like they were being marginalized. So there was a sense of it in the Ivory Coast. But the point here is the main issue is about terrorism that spreads across borders in West Africa. And there was a time when these African nations, we like to think we're so smart and we know Africa and we're geopolitically savvy, but the nations themselves realized their incapabilities and their lack of capacity to handle these issues. So they reach out to nations that have the capacity to help them. There was a time where Ghana, I think Burkina Faso, and some other countries was inviting the West to come over and set up bases in their country because they saw the threat of Islamic terrorism heading towards their country. Even in Liberia right now, one of our biggest fears is that Islamic terrorism is going to spread into our country. So we start taking preemptive, steps to make sure we're going to be prepared for it, not on our own because we don't have the capacity, but using, for the most part, the United States and some other countries to help us to prepare for it if it comes to that. So I think tribalism is not, it's not going out of their countries and going to other people's country and killing each other based on tribal ideology. Rather, it's Islamic terrorism that cuts across the region, and the religion is what ties them together and unites them to fight against other countries and fight against other people based on their religious, ideology. That's how I see it. I pass the mic.
Are we going in reverse order now again?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I would Masaki, isn't it? It's probably your turn now, bro. Then AES, then yeah. But I leave the mic to the boss to pass it out.
Masaki.
So basically,
Hold on,
based
what
on what
happened?
Elvis stated,
No, it's
Africa
your
It's
turn.
Masake's turn, man.
Sorry about that.
No, somebody asked me something?
That's right.
No,
Yeah,
it's
it's
your
your
turn
turn,
to
bro.
speak. We going back in order. Everybody's
Oh, okay.
spoken.
All right. I guess I go whoever's next. Oh, go after.
Okay. So Elvis, you did said Kenya. It was to do with the Americans who helped Kenya defeat terrorists. I live in a land of the British. Okay, it's the British are the number one people who helped Kenya to defeat terrorists, and that's because the British interest in the Commonwealth, and also the African Union. Have invested a lot in the East African region, even in Somalia. If you look at a lot of the groundwork in the East African, go back to what Diana is saying. Why can't we solve our own problem instead of outsourcing, this issue? Okay, the British came in, and of course America also did help, but most of the real job in Kenya was done by the British and the African Union, with some help from the United States. So sometimes you speak half truth, which I think is very dangerous, and you sound and you always trying to spread one narrative, that's basically favor your ideology, which I think is very dishonest.
I did a quick Google search. It says the United States is the primary nation that helped defeat terrorism in Kenya, not the British.
The British did.
Okay.
Well, wherever
Okay.
you get
Anybody can
information.
search it.
Okay. Well, we can 100% the British, African Union, and America. Okay, this is how it goes. So this is the problem. We need to understand that we can't outsource our problems, to the rest of the world. America does not. They're not going to help us for nothing. The British have a lot of interest in their Commonwealth countries, and I think this is one of the problems that Nigeria faced when they ran away to America when they had the problem with Boko Haram. Instead of going, working with the Brits who are already in the ground, who knows, Nigeria better and the system better, and they said, oh, the British they support the Northerners. They give discount to the Northerners, even though when in Nigeria had independence, they gave it the power to the Southeasterner, Namdi Azikwe. That's the person that the British hand over power to. But instead of them having to deal with the things in the right way, they're like, oh, we can't deal with the British because it was just Goodluck Jonathan that was in power. And Abacha said, if security lasts more than 24 hours in Nigeria, must know the government is behind it. Okay? So the reality is we can't outsource our problems. That's the reality. If African government really want to fight terrorism, they have to make, national service. They have to be people, all the youths over 18 have to join the army. They will have to. We have no choice. They're not serious. That's reality. They're not really serious fighting these problems. They have to get all the youths over 24 and over 18 to join the army. It should be compulsory to get in the battlefield and get rid of these terrorists. Wherever they call themselves, Muslims, Christians, traditionalists, whatever they come from, whatever group or tribe or whatever they come from, they need to go. Okay?
But it's a chain of terrorism, brother. The root cause of the terrorism is the ultimate terrorist, and then they help form these groups, or they fund groups that are already organically formed, and then the administrative element within these so-called nations are also terrorists because they're not actively trying to fight it. In the case of Nigeria, Tinubu and I mean Tinubu and just leaders in the past from the past, which you could say Buhari as well. They're not actively trying to solve that problem, brother. That was never the case. They're complicit in it. There's no way
You're right,
that
bro.
problem was allowed to fester the way it has. They have not been
Exactly.
actively trying to solve it logistically in any way. So, but again, it's all being formulated by the ultimate terrorist, which is the neocolonialists. But having these conversations is futile because people come to these conversations with the agendas. With no matter what information that you objectively provide to them, they're going to go with the agenda that they want to be the case. No, it would be easy for anybody that's upright, any governmental entity or administrative entity that's upright to solve these problems. Even from before they formulate, because it gets to the point where
We
it
really
gets too
think
big.
it's that
And
easy, though.
no, you got to take preventative measures. That's what makes it easy. By the time these administrators let it get to the point it is, that's when you need advanced military tactics and advanced military technology. But the stuff can be prevented from the onset through intelligence and measures of really just having better communal organization.
But the reality is most African countries' borders are porous. I can't imagine there's any African country that can manage any of their borders. You think about Sierra Leone, even now we're having fight between us and Guinea over border because everybody's arguing that from this point to this point is because the border is, you can just decide based on markings. It's the same land. So it's not as easy as we say it is. We'll imagine it is easy, but it is very complex. The issues of Africa are complex. It's not one size fits all. Like the idea of, everything got to be neocolonialist. No, it's not really true. We have local indigenes that are also part of the problem. It's a difficult situation in Africa because if you take the Boko Haram, some of the locals in those regions are part of it. So it's not as easy.
Brother, I'm not saying you got to actively listen to what I'm saying, though. I'm not saying that it's 100% neo-colonialist fault. I said sometimes it does the organizations organically form, and for them to organically form, it would have to be from indigens. I'm saying they are taking advantage of those entities. And my thing with the government, it's not even about the borders. If the preventative measures is to make sure that there's cooperative communalism, so where these fundamentalist groups do not occur. And when they do occur, there should be, when they're starting to formulate, that there should be entities that go in to stop it before it rears its ugly head to where they gain a critical mass. It has to be preemptive.
Let me pass the mic to Harker. Go ahead, Harker. I'm just Harker.
Hey, how everybody doing? Hey, listen,
thank you.
Elvis, if you're gonna use my name, call me the name that's on there, Taharka.
Okay, sorry, Delra. I apologize.
Yeah, don't.
Sorry, Taharka. My bad.
It's not that I'm not afraid of the name. Trust me, the FBI probably have my name. Is that I rather that name. I don't want to use a slave name. I want that name. Thank you. This back and forth between Caribbean, American, FBA, African American, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. I accept all of them, Africans. It is so frustrating because it will not stop. Every time we get on here, it has to boil down to that. The fate of the world is being decided in the Middle East right now as we speak. All right. And Dinus had a session the other day. What could Africa benefit from it? And instead of indulging that, it's gone to the back and forth with somebody talking about this tribe is this and that Caribbean is this, the FBA is this, and it's back and forth, while people are laughing at us. The one opportunity we have right now, right, that people are off the backs of Black people are off the backs of Africans in general, is now. And we still refuse to take advantage of it. It's just amazes me. All right. Now I see the topic. All right. It says ECOWAS or AES, who's going to fix? Dennis, I think it needs both. It needs both ECOWAS and the AES. I like what, even though Ghana got the little American based and French, whatever, he's still trying to set something up with Burkina Faso. And Burkina Faso mean the AES, right? So it definitely means both, right? Definitely mean both. And if we don't start like that, then we're never going to get anywhere. This nonsense about borders and all them foolishness, especially borders that the people are basically the same, like in Liberia and Sierra Leone border, right? It's ridiculous because people go back and forth to shop in markets. Some sell on that side of the border, some others sell, and they go back and forth all day long. What's that for? I don't know. In Nigeria, same thing. The Iman in Nigeria is the Iman for people from Niger, right? And it's vice versa. Same goddamn thing. So I really don't understand about these damn borders either. But I'm gonna just say this the last I'm gonna say, right? The back and forth. It has got to stop because this panel represent people in the chat and it represent the just black people in general, right? It got to stop, or it's going to be the same, or it's going to pass over our head. All this that's happening in the Middle East is going to pass over our head, and it's going to go back to the same control, and we're not going to get anywhere at all. That's what I'm going to say.
Brother, but we gotta ignore them when they're not addressed. That's what I've been trying to make them do, but the people just can't help themselves to engage in a stupid conversation. It's annoying, man.
But brother, like when people have a certain narrative and they say, I understand you're saying to ignore. I mean, yeah, they can speak their piece, but you can't let that slide, man. You gotta
But brother,
speak your piece.
it's been, but there's no need to keep addressing it because it's already been addressed and debunked.
Yeah,
They do this on purpose. They know
I wasn't addressing his rhetoric. I was just saying he had an accent. He had like a Caribbean
but again,
accent.
like
That's all.
there's no when it's nonsense, just let them speak and finish, and then ignore it because it's gonna stop right there, and it's gonna be a blip in the conversation that nobody's gonna remember.
But
because it's already been debunked.
There was no nonsense. I mentioned tribalism, and the fact that y'all want to pretend it's not tribalism in Africa shows why the problem will never be solved. Y'all live in a delusional
how
fantasy.
you gonna come?
No. Don't address it. It's St. James' turn.
That's
It's St.
the
James' turn
problem.
to talk. Don't let him have it. Let him have it. Let St. James' turn to talk.
Hi, Don. Thanks for having me, and hi to the chat, and hi to the panelists. Happy Saturday. Hope everybody's doing well. And let me address this topic real quick. I don't know who love the NBA, man. My man, you love the NBA? You watch the NBA?
Yeah, I love the NBA.
You love the NBA? It's like when they play you call it like the playoff comes about. Do you watch the G League?
Yeah, some of it.
Once in a while.
Yeah, I watched some of it. Yeah, I watched some of it.
Okay, so I'm trying to tell you right now, I'm gonna keep it low. We have a lot of people in here. Like if you're trying to elevate, then they don't understand. I'm gonna keep it low, right? If you like D1, right? Let's say you watch soccer, you don't go to the G League like when the action is happening. It's like the situation that's happening in West Africa between AES and ECOWAS is not even comparable. We're not even in the same league. So if you look at terrorism right now, we don't even know the plan of ECOWAS. Those people who come from ECOWAS country, I would like for them to articulate what are the plan ECOWAS put in place to combat terrorism. And when they finish that, I want to hear more about terrorism financing, what ECOWAS is doing. It's not even close to what we're doing. So we're not in the same league. You understand? And the youth of Africa, they don't wake up in the morning trying to hear about what Madabiu has to say. Although I love him, I have no problem with him. But the youth of Africa, when they wake up in the morning, they want to hear about Traore, what AES is doing, what's next. They're not looking for ECOWAS. So trying to lead from behind is not going to work in 2026. Most Africans on this panel, your leaders are leaderless. So you got to have to deal with them and let AES alone. Our president have made a decision to lead their people and protect them at the same time. I don't see any ECOWAS countries doing it. If you watch, yesterday, a terrorist attack happened in Benin. You know how many soldiers have been killed in Benin? They're coming up with 15 soldiers. It's more than that. I'm hearing 111 soldiers have been killed in Benin. You don't see Sierra Leone. You don't see Liberia. You don't see none of this country going to rescue Benin. Whereas in AES, you cannot attack Mali, attack Niger. These are the same countries together. We have a plan. What ECOWAS has. Let's stop the talk. Same thing. Watch the news in Nigeria. 300 people got abducted. You don't hear Ivory Coast, Senegal talking about it. They don't care. They're on the corner minding their business. Hey, that's so different than what ECOWAS got going on. We can't even compare the two. Please stop. Again, someone was talking about, someone got it right that ECOWAS was a tool to the white, it was a tool to the French, and someone was like, nah, it's not. It's a tool to the French. It doesn't matter if you're Anglophone Africa or Francophone Africa. We already made that, we already gave you the evidence that ECOWAS belonged to the French, whether you like it or not. And again, ECOWAS was created by Francophone, mainly Francophone president. There was only one Anglophone president that participated in it, was the president of Nigeria, who was a military, by the way. He was the one that had the idea and brought it to Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. Those are the country that created ECOWAS. There was no Sierra Leone, there was no Liberia, there was no Ghana, nothing. We created that. And everybody accepted it. You understand? So Anglophone never controlled Francophone, Francophone never controlled Anglophone. We all work together. You see, under, how you call this guy again? I don't even want to mention his name, right? The one that was the chairman of ECOWAS before Marabio. Under his chairmanship, how many countries did he lose? 3 countries, 3 Francophone countries. What does that tell you? Yeah, how many countries did he lose under his watch? 3 Francophone countries. What does that tell you? He was not in control of anything. That's why he let them slide. Why? Because he didn't even know how to manage them. If the chairmanship was under a Francophone president, I guarantee you, these 3 countries wouldn't have left, because we would have understood the problem much better and would have addressed it with what it needed to address. Tinubu didn't understand ECOWAS because he already knew this is a tool for the French. Whatever the French say, they follow. That's why he let these countries slide. He didn't care. Look at the 50th anniversary of ECOWAS. Tinubu didn't even attend. Come on, man. Let's be honest about this. No one wakes up in the morning waiting for ECOWAS to communicate on anything. No one's. But every time ECOWAS says something, that's the go. It tells you that the youth in Africa right now, they are more ready to embark on the AES plan. So someone said AES has a long way to go. I appreciate that. We understand we have a long way to go, but your country has no way to go. That's the part that I'm trying to help you wake up. We have a long way to go compared to somebody who has no way to go. So I would rather be with someone who has a long way to go and understand this problem and participate in helping that, instead of siding with a country that don't even know where to go. Thank you.
Okay, can I respond to him quickly?
No, you spoken of. Listen,
don't tell me I spoke enough. I wasn't talking to you. I was asking the host. Don't tell me I spoke enough.
The presentation I made yesterday, right, is exactly what Tinubu went against. He went against the farmer and the Mansa principle of West Africa. He think he was a big man. He think, oh, I've been selected to be Nigerian president, so I'm going to choose my own path and I'm going to work against his brothers. You know, I'm going to go to the French. I'm going to be the boss. You don't understand. We people, the Mansa and the farmer principles are the backbone of West Africa. He would never do that. They would never tolerate him do that. And I just saw that it backfired, because when these brothers are trying to gain independence, my man went to France. And no, a lot of time I agree with St. James. You know, me and him had a beef, you know, all kind of stuff, you know. But I tell you what, you just submitted it right there, 100% spot on, bro. I'll give you that today.
Okay, let me say this, right?
Yeah,
St. James was inaccurate when he was talking about the ECOWAS formation. The people that led it was Nigeria.
I'm saying about Tinubu,
Yakubu Gowon, and Yasimba Iyedema from Togo.
Thank you for giving the correct information.
And it was found in Lagos, Nigeria.
Shouldn't
not
get
in the
that kind of
Sahel.
misleading information
You
here.
know,
Three
and
people
I
are
don't get
talking.
this,
Let
St.
somebody
James.
talk.
You're bringing enmity against other West Africans when you're painting your country or the AES to be this all
I
powerful
disagree with
country,
that.
I just gave my
Okay,
the only
Dennis.
opinions.
country that have something going for
I just gave
themselves.
my opinion the same way you gave
No,
yours. You don't have to
Okay,
that's
like
I
mine.
think
I'm just
inflammatory.
giving you my
We're not
I
opinion.
here.
think it
We're
was
not
my
No,
against
no, no,
you.
no,
I
no,
think
no,
it
no, no,
was
no,
my
no, no, no.
When you start
Everybody
spreading that kind
appreciate
of
it.
rhetoric, it's
Everybody
like, what are you really
appreciated
trying
my
to say?
I
opinion
think
for what it
it's
is,
my
right?
turn
You
to
don't
speak,
have to
please.
agree. That's still my
No,
opinion.
I'm speaking now, bro. You had your chance to speak. I'm responding to
Okay,
what you
okay,
said. All right,
okay,
let me
sure,
speak.
sure.
My
All
point
right.
here is that,
Respond quick, please. Thank you.
bro. Look, Al, this is not your show, man. You don't moderate. Donis is the moderator. So my point here is that Burkina Faso and the other countries have a problem. They have a terrorist problem. And like you said, before he got in power, a lot of land, was controlled by the terrorists.
Obviously,
And they've been making some.
I'm not cutting you off. I'm sorry. Who are the founder of ECOWAS again? I'll get the right
The
information,
brother
please.
said, I said it was Yakubu Gowon in 1975, along with Yasimbe Iodema from Togo, who was really pushing for ECOWAS. And in Lagos in 1975 was formed, I think 15 African nations, Liberia and most of the of course, other West African nations, was a part of it and funded
On that, how
That's
much you gonna
correct
bet on? How much
information.
you gonna
Thank you.
bet on that? How much you gonna
Thank
bet
you.
on that, Elvis?
I mean, I just
No, no, no. We
researched
can
it.
do it right now. We can
You
do it right
know,
now. We
anybody
can do
can
it right now.
research it.
No,
Well,
no, no. The
let me
research
make my point.
you
Let me
can
make my
listen to the
point, St.
president
James.
of Ghana when we were having
St.
a problem
James,
with Ghana.
let
No, no, no,
me
no,
make my
no.
point,
There's
please.
a point of correction before I let you speak. You can listen to the president of Ghana when we're having problem, right? You can listen to the president of Ghana listing the founding member countries of ECOWAS. Go back and listen to the president Nana Akufo-Addo. He
Okay.
would give you the numbers.
All right. Anybody can
The
search it out.
countries.
Let me just make
Sure.
my point here, right?
The
My
only
point
thing that
again,
the only place you're right, Elvis, that Yakubu Gowon definitely is behind
bro.
the
I hear you, bro. Let me speak. I was
Yeah.
And
speaking,
then
please.
OEU was founded in Liberia too, with Sekou Touré,
Right.
Kwame Nkrumah, and
So
others.
my
Thank
point
you.
here is this enmity and this, incendiary rhetoric that's coming from people who support the AES and now other African countries don't have nothing going for them. And I would just do this to juxtapose. Take a country like Ghana.
Instead of speaking, don't give the evidence that I'm asking you to give the
bro. I mean,
evidence. Stop
don't interrupt
speaking.
me. I didn't
You
interrupt
taking
you,
us. No, 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 Elvis. You do it every
bro.
time. You're taking
You're
us
being
backwards.
disrespectful now.
No,
I'm
no, no. It's not
speaking.
disrespectful.
Let me finish. It's
Every
not an
time when
argument.
somebody. No, 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 no. Elvis, when your back is against the wall, we want the evidence. You don't provide.
Go ahead, Elvis.
Okay. If you take a look at a country like Ghana, which is right next to Burkina Faso, and when somebody like St. James is criticizing other West African countries, Ghana is doing far better in almost every metric than Burkina Faso. Even when they had peace doing, compare. Ghana is doing a lot better. Even with all the insurgency in Nigeria, economically, Nigeria is doing a lot better than most of these countries. Like
Not even
C's
close.
favorite country, Ivory Coast, is doing a lot better. You may disagree with their leadership, but those countries are ran better than the likes of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso combined.
What
And we
about
want
your
the brothers
country?
to
What
do
about your
well.
country? Why
Well,
are you ashamed to put your
no,
country towards the three
listen
of
to
us?
what I'm saying, James. You don't gotta interrupt
Elvis,
me,
put your
bro.
country towards
You made
Burkina
your
Faso,
point. We
Niger,
listened. Why
Bamako.
can't you just
Please.
have some impulse control and listen?
No, no, no. It's not impulse. I mean, you use other country
You're
to
being
compare. Use your own
unreasonable.
country. I want you to be proud about your own country. Can you do
You're
that?
being unreasonable. Just listen
No,
to
no,
what I'm
I'm being
saying.
reasonable. Are you afraid of doing
Diners,
that?
I mean, I
But
don't
my
want to
brother, you
argue.
compared AS and ECOWAS. He's just
You
trying
did
to
that.
correct you.
Let's
You did not
you was
compare
making this.
countries. Come on.
Hey, don't interrupt him.
Just play him land, please.
Can you guys stop interrupting
Hold on,
people? This is ghetto, man.
God, don't, Elvis. You got 1 minute. No one interrupt. If you interrupt,
All right. Thank you. Look, I think when you make a comparison against the AES and the ECOWAS, it's a shame. My personal view is a shame that these three countries left. We want to see them be a part of the regional community and bloc, but when it comes to development, they're far behind. They're lacking far behind, and that's no dig at them. It's just an actual fact. So when people come here, don't make it seem like we're against them and you're trying to pit us against each other. It's not the case. We want you to do well, and we criticize when we think it's necessary, but at the same time, we're not against you, and we don't want you to do, to be a failed state. Liberia, hasn't been doing great, especially compared to other African countries. But certainly we have our democracy. We have multiple elections. We've been making progress. But other nation has been making tremendous progress, like Ghana and Ivory Coast, and that has to be said. And those are countries that's part of the ECOWAS. Thank you, Dennis.
Okay,
Is
thank
the
you. I mean,
AES
yeah, I agree. I agree to some. Both of you making points. Really, I don't know why you both arguing and talking things at each other.
No,
You
but
both
I
made
would
good
like for
points.
him to use his country when you try to compare. I would like to be a little more prouder, like to talk about a little more pride
Okay.
to talk about his own country, because I feel like
Yeah.
right. No, no, I think right. Since he
I can
doesn't have an
respond to St.
argument, he
James because
wants
I
to
got a
use.
comment.
No, no. I'll let you speak. Right. You know what he does when you put out your best argument. What Elvis does when he doesn't have an argument, he go look for something bigger and better than your country to compare. I want him to compare Liberia to my country. I would love to see the metrics he will provide forth. Your democracy is not doing better than my country. Your president is not doing better than my president. That's a fact.
We don't have
So no, no,
terrorism in my country.
you said
People
I
are
don't
not
want.
killing each other in my country.
You said
That's one good thing
I
in
don't
my
want to.
country, America.
You said I'll let you speak.
ECOWAS.
You said I need to let you speak. I'll let you speak. You coming for? I would like for that to happen, to present your evidence regarding your own country. You will make a better argument that way, right? Don't use Ghana next door and say about all the metrics. Ghana is not doing better than us by all the metrics. It's not correct. It's not.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah.
So you can sit on
Okay.
here. No, you can sit on here and say that, but Ghana, the president of Ghana will tell you you need a Burkina Faso, right? So through the investment that we're bringing to Ghana, it will tell you that's a big investment that we're bringing to Ghana, right? You need that, right? That's why he left ECOWAS and come to us so we can we can foster an agreement so we can to move this investment forward, right? And you got Togo, who is from ECOWAS, that you're saying they're doing way better. Togo also understood that they need ECOWAS because of the size of our countries and the investment power that we have. Togo broke ranks with ECOWAS and agree with us, right? So you got two countries in ECOWAS that don't see what you see, right? So the idea that we are not doing better, I get it. We are lacking behind certain countries in ECOWAS, but we are doing better than some of the countries, including yours. So we have to agree to that. So the fact that you're presenting, yes, is accurate, but you're hiding something. So I want you to be able to provide all the facts 100% so people can be able to understand.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Basically, what I'm trying to say is right.
Can I say something?
Yeah, quick, my brother. You could. Yeah, go on. I'll let you, please. Go on.
Yeah. The only thing, let's argue according to how we are. If you want to make a point, make a point. The argument was ECOWAS and AES, and he rightly corrected you by saying when Burkina Faso was with ECOWAS, you are doing better than us. So it's not about AES making you doing better than Sierra Leone or Liberia. You are doing better already. You are a bigger country from us. You have a longer history for development. So I'll give you that individually, but your argument was not based on countries. Your argument was based on the organizations. ECOWAS have a longer history. You guys have a long way to go. And that's all we are saying. We're not saying whatever you are doing will not work.
Having longevity doesn't give you. That's why I asked you. ECOWAS has longevity in front of AES. We all agree. It's not a debate, right? When it comes to the fight against, I want you to present the evidence when it comes to the fight against terrorism. Who seems to do better? That's the argument we should be having.
Look, they both should work. They both should work together. As I said from the beginning of our the conversation, okay, we shouldn't be. This is exactly where the brother was saying. African people will always put themselves in a different tribe and different sect, whether it's this grouping and that grouping. Okay, this needs to stop because this is not going to solve the problem that we're facing. They say, "Oh yeah, AES is better, ECOWAS is better." This, that. We all know. I mean, my brother from Sierra Leone and Liberia, Elvis. We both know. We are the beneficiary of ECOWAS and ECOMOG. Okay, so St. James, you should understand that. That's a point that Elvis is trying to also let you know. Look, you might not like it, but we personally benefited from ECOWAS. Sierra Leone and Liberia, they're war-torn countries, so development-wise, it will take a while for them to catch up to where they was. And also, yes, St. James, you're right. Okay, the AES, absolutely, they have done an incredible job in the Sahel. With their own hands, they actually managed to, in fact, get rid of most of the biggest powers in the world who came there with their military might. who couldn't do some of the dirty jobs that they actually managed to achieve so far. Okay, so you both got points, but let's not turn this against one another.
No,
It's
it's
not going to
not.
help.
I respect
It's the
everybody's.
comparative analysis,
Is
though,
that
brother.
is
That's
that
the
old
nature of the
adage?
conversation.
Prevention is better than cure. A lot of West African countries don't have terrorism,
My
but they
argument
prevented
was
it.
based. My argument, really, to
Yeah,
be honest with you, my argument was based on the
yeah,
fight against terrorism and terrorism
yeah.
financing. This is my
No,
main topic here.
I got you,
So
bro. Yeah.
so that's the angle that I'm using to compare
Hmm.
AES to ECOWAS. I'm not using the
Senegal is part of
economy.
ECOWAS. They're
What
not
he
fighting
did, right? What
terrorists.
Elvis did, right? Is like you trying to build your own house. Elvis is over there trying to hold your pen down. That's what he's doing, right? So trying to
What?
bring the economy of
You
each
mentioned
country.
ECOWAS. I'm
No,
naming some of the nations within the organization that's doing better.
no. I get it. I never use the economy. Everybody know Ghana is doing better than all three countries in ECOWAS.
Dennis, can you put these
Yes,
guys
we all
under
know that.
control so someone
But
else can speak now? Because
no,
it's like
somebody.
almost two
I
people
was,
Yeah,
I
speaking.
was,
I,
I
So
was,
we
I was.
gonna
Wait,
get to
no,
the. We
wait,
gonna
wait,
get to
hold
the.
on. Let's say James finished his point.
No. I finished my point, right? So
But I was,
I
okay,
never compared the size of the economies of these two
okay.
entities. I never did that. I was using the how you call it.
No, you say this country has nothing going for them, and you have something going for you.
When I said going, like I said, I'm trying to clarify that for you. I hope you
Okay.
understand my point. I'm trying
No,
to.
okay.
That's the angle that I'm
Now
using.
we got your point.
Terrorism.
Now we got your point. Okay. Yeah.
I'm not using the
Now we got
economy.
your point.
Thank you.
Now we got your
and
point.
then,
Okay.
oh,
Thank
can
you.
I add something too, Al?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Quick
yeah.
one. My last one.
So I was just saying, it's just like, I don't understand. It's just like if you have a house that's dilapidated, right? When the AES
Yeah.
came together, everyone suspects them that they was going to freaking finish everything within 3 years. How can they fix something if a house is completely dilapidated? They literally got to start from the ground up and come up, and it takes time. Like literally, they're sitting there, they're having local ammunition, they're having explosives, they're building even their own drones. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but I mean, is ECOWAS? I mean, are they having their own drones? Are they having their own local ammunition? I mean, I'm aware of Nigeria; they have their local manufacturing, whatever, but they're just
Yeah.
not on the same scale because they're trying. It's going to take time. But the problem is that people think it's going to be like a 1, 2, 3 thing, and it's not. And you got to understand, it's not a conventional war. They're fighting an unconventional war, or these people are guerrillas. They literally hide. They pop up and then they hide again and they run to the other borders. So it's not an easy thing. And for them to even
No.
get this far is amazing. For them to even get, for example, what happened in Mali a couple months ago, they arrested 250 terrorists. And in fact, FLA went and they said, you know what, we're not going to fight you no more. We're dropping our weapons. That has never happened before.
Yeah, I mean, I get your points. You guys, everyone is making a good point, but we just need to, I did made a great presentation yesterday, but people weren't here to see it,
But
and I think this is exactly, yeah, go on.
We know
Yeah,
we have to understand first what are the standing with ECOWAS and AES. The reality is ECOWAS don't have a biting they don't have that regulation that will bite any country as we think. Because even when, like, say example, if Nigeria want to send people into ECOMOG, right? If they want to send military people into ECOMOG, part of their fees is still coming from the Nigerian government. It's not an ECOWAS ECOWAS organization does not run West Africa. Individual countries still have their individual autonomy. So we're beginning to sound like ECOWAS runs West Africa. No.
It doesn't.
This is an agreement that these countries came down for economic reasons.
Right.
They came together and said, "Oh, let's try to share like borders and see how we can work economically." It's not the reason Nigeria, Ghana. Take for example, we talk about Tinubu earlier. Somebody talked about Tinubu. Even Buhari would not. There is no Nigerian leader when ECOWAS wanted to get one money. No Nigerian leader will sign into that. I'm telling you, because their economy is so vast compared to the other countries that the leaders of Nigeria will not accept, because they will feel like people will be feeding from them. So it's a difficult thing for us to just argue in the way we are arguing it. We have to know the nuances of it too.
Yeah,
Ghana will
And
not.
Al,
that's an
I
excellent
just
point.
and
Most
Al, I
people
just want
think
to add.
ECOWAS is a military organization. It's not like NATO. That's not what it is. It's an economic, a collaboration of West African states.
Yeah,
It's not. It's
yeah.
not a military
But
And
organization.
also
but Al,
the
but
reason
but
why
Al,
ECOMO intervened
Yeah,
in Africa again, in Sierra Leone and
yeah,
Liberia, was through Babangida and Lassana
yeah.
Conte of Guinea. I think
Yes.
these two
Yeah.
countries contribute almost 90% of the troop. As the guy
Yes.
from Sierra Leone said,
Yeah.
ECOWAS is economic foundation. The ECOMO was funded to help these two countries out of the civil war, right?
Yeah.
Through Babangida and Lassana Conte of Guinea, and they contributed 90% of the troop. So,
Yeah.
as
See
he said,
the. See the.
and they
Yeah.
did that willingly. When Senegal decided to contribute troop, they asked equipment from the U.S. government. So all the uniform they were wearing came from the American government, right? Even with Ghanaian troop also, or a lot of the equipment they were using. But Nigeria and Guinea, they financed the entire,
Project
operation that went on in Liberia.
in both. You're
So,
right. You're right.
and
and
this is
Al,
this is where the difference is.
and
So,
Al.
Right.
Also, I wanted to add
Yes,
too
Manto.
is I was going to add also too. If you look at the UAE and ASEAN
Mm-hmm.
and Asia, the two
Mm-hmm.
things that they have in common, they are self-funded. They self-fund their own things. That's why they have
Right.
the success that they have now. But the problem with
Mm.
ECOWAS and the AU, the majority of the funding comes from the EU. This is why every time the EU says something, ECOWAS and the AU, they come right behind it, and they say they agree with the same talking points. Like for
Yes.
example, Nigeria has issues, DRC has issues, Sudan has issues, Somalia has issues, but for some reason the AU is mostly focused on the AES states. Even though, like I said, they have most of it contained, and they're trying to work on it, whatever. For some reason, they only focus on them and not the other countries because it's a certain agenda.
Right.
yeah,
Yes.
but
I mean,
what you said
Manto.
was,
Okay.
Masache, this is ECOWAS is not military function. That's what we
No,
just
I
saying. When
know,
you say
I
funding from
no, but
ECOWAS,
but
this is
no, but
not
It's
what the
listen,
ECOMO.
function of
no,
ECOWAS
but
is about.
listen, but even if they're not even if they're not funded militarily, I just mentioned ASEAN from Asia, they're self-funded. UAE, they're not military. Also, they're self-funded. The
Yeah. Yeah.
EU and
True.
ECOWAS, they're not self-funded. Do you not know that the most of their funding, about 60% of their funding comes from EU? So if 60% hold on. If 60% comes from the EU, what do you think was going to happen behind the scenes? They
60%
working with
to
them.
do what? To do what with the 60%?
If
To do what
listen,
with the
if
60%?
listen to what I'm saying. For example, if you're a politician, if most of your funding comes from one company, and you get into office, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to look out for the company. It's the same thing with ECOWAS. They're going to look out for certain interests.
But my question is, when you say 60% from EU to function what? To fund what?
No, but what I'm saying is that
Now,
whatever
to fund
projects,
what? If they're getting 60% of the
listen
funding
to
from
one
organization, what
whatever projects that they have or
the
they're
what?
working on. Listen to what I'm saying. Just listen, man. Whatever funding that they have, 60% is a huge number. So if you're getting funding 60%, you're going to do the bidding of whoever's funding you. So like, for example, right? Like I just mentioned before, if I mention those other countries that have issues, right? That guy, what's his name? Bio from Sierra Leone, even though those other countries have issues, including Nigeria, he went on the world stage and says, hey, international community, I think the AES needs your help. Even though the AES didn't ask for no help. He's over there talking for them. Why is he doing that? Special interest.
Do you know what I believe there's something going on with the current Nigerian
That's
president.
actually a great point, my brother. Thanks for bringing that out.
Yeah. There's something there's something fishy about the current Nigerian president, even with the terrorism that's going on in that region. I don't put, because the guy is a sellout, is a CIA there is, I mean, I don't know if you guys watched the interview of is on Al Jazeera, a guy called Daniel
That was
Boaga.
embarrassing. He just got dismissed. Like that was completely an embarrassment. Like, any Nigerian should be utterly disgraced by that. That was a disgrace.
So now you're blaming Tinubu for Islamic terrorism in Nigeria.
Oh, you see, you don't
No,
listen.
he's
Let
but
me finish.
he's definitely
No,
been
Let me
complicit
finish, Elvis.
and not
he's definitely. I mean, it's his country. He's the president. It's
he's
like
complicit, bro.
Right. He's
He's
complicit.
complicit of letting
But
three
Buhari
three
was too
founding
to a certain
members
extent.
leave.
So
He's complicit of that. That's a big failure of his part.
No,
Under his leadership, letting three countries go, and he said nothing. He sat there and pretended nothing ever happened. Yeah, that's a
yeah.
big failure from his
Yeah,
part.
but
Yes.
but to
I
be
don't
fair
think
to him,
so.
the
They had
Islamic terrorists was there a long time ago.
yeah, they had a
Listen,
thing where they didn't
I,
want any countries to be committing coups and
I,
recognizing them
I,
within in the
I,
ECOWAS.
I
yeah.
listen. I follow a lot of the stuff, right? That man, Tinubu. Time will tell. Yeah, things will come back to you. Yeah, I
But
believe.
Bro,
Lot, yes, yes.
you have Muslim in the Nigerian government who support Boko Haram and those terrorist organizations.
true,
Yeah, he's a
Exactly,
part of him. He's
So
no
exactly.
what are you
different though.
saying?
He,
Why are you
he's
trying to
part
blame
of.
Tinubu for
but
it?
He,
that's
he,
not
Yeah.
he's
new.
a
They're
Nah,
part
it,
of
it
it.
is
collaborator for
Tinubu though,
they're
but he's
collaborators
working
of
on
Boko
behalf of the
Haram
North though.
in the
Tinubu
Elvis,
Nigerian
shouldn't do
government.
Elvis,
Some of them are
Elvis,
governors in the northern
Elvis,
states.
No,
Elvis,
that's
Elvis,
But
that's
Al,
Elvis,
you
new.
Elvis,
sounding
Elvis,
like that is
Elvis.
new. Is this new? The
No,
Boko Haram in
no,
Nigeria is not new.
it's not new because this is what I'm
all
trying.
right, John.
Before
Let me.
Elvis,
I haven't
Elvis, do,
spoken in
do
a
me a
while.
favor. No, okay, 1 second. Elvis, do me a favor. Yeah, have a bit of comportment in you as a man. When someone starts speaking, and let them finish, then you can interject them. Please, do me a favor. All I'm saying is there is a lot of stuff that's coming out about him and also his vice president, Kashim Shettima, yeah, that is coming out saying these guys, there's something about them that's very complicit, that's very fishy that's going on. Of course, some of the northern governor, remember, he is a cabal, he is the president of the current Republic of Nigeria. So the blame will lie in the
But
street. You cannot shift
they've
the blame.
said this
Yeah.
for
Uh,
every president, every of the last three presidents
can
in
I?
Nigeria. They've said the
Yes,
same thing
yes,
All
about
right. Let me
them.
let
yeah,
me let
yes,
me
yeah.
speak.
And
No,
it
no,
was
no,
true for all
no,
of us
sir,
except
no,
Good
yeah,
Luck
guys,
Jonathan.
guys,
Good
if we
Luck
pass
Jonathan
the mic to
wasn't
Taraka, then we got to close
complicit.
out. Taraka.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Listen. Tinubu just became president the other day. The Islamic terrorism supported by France and the US been there for years and years and years. Doesn't matter what president is there. They've been there for years and years and years, right? So that doesn't make any sense. Getting back to the AES with the topic and the and ECOWAS, right? Just like Al said, they have to work together to solve the problem of the so-called terrorists that is supported by France and the US. You guys have to remember that, right? And as far at one time, all these countries, the AES countries, was part of ECOWAS, right? So it's not like they wasn't part of ECOWAS. ECOWAS wasn't working, so they came out of it and formed their own. Now, people in all parts of Africa, in all parts of the world, of the Caribbean. I mean, I'm from the mountains in Jamaica. If you say the name Abraham Traoré and the AES, Burkina Faso, they know exactly who they're talking about, right? They don't know the other people, ECOWAS, and they don't know nothing else, but they know that. That means something is working correct for what the AES is doing, right? They might not be developed how they want to be developed now, but they are working at it. It's going to take time, but they are working at it, trying to build the countries while fighting terrorists at the same time. Now, the last thing I'm going to say, um, again, Black people, Africans need to take advantage of what is going on in the other side of the world. Now that they kind of off your back, right? They off your back. Take advantage of what's going on, right? That's all I'm going to say.
All right, let me
ECOWAS, AES will never work.
I gotta
It
pass
will
the
never
mic.
work.
I gotta pass the mic to anti-moralist, and we're closing out.
Yeah.
Anti-moralist, go ahead. Let me
It will
go.
never work.
Yo, can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear.
Okay, sorry my voice. I'm a bit sick though, so hopefully I can sound clear. But one thing I wanted to mention, just arguing the question, I wish I joined earlier. But when it comes to this debate, man, one of the things is you have to realize is that these nations, the AES, and ECOWAS, whoever represents that, who can defeat terrorism, is going to depend on mostly not a tribalism, but rather more it's going to depend on generations. When you look at all these countries in ECOWAS, when you look at all these countries in the AES, the one thing is that all of these countries in the AES, they've experienced, of course, coups and all that, but they do represent a younger population who did feel that their political systems failed to address the insecurities in those nations. When it comes to the terrorists that happened, mostly came because of Libya. And the fall of Libya was the cause of most of these terrorist rebellions around that area. And all these people who are living there are younger people who have had enough. And so when it comes to this argument, whether the problem is not primarily what I'm saying is that there's democracy is the problem. But when you look at history of every country that has rebuilt itself, from America to the United States to the UK to China to Korea to Taiwan, to every nation that has built itself and basically kind of solved the problem, I guess you could say, none of them have built themselves during a democracy. No nation. They never offer democracy fully for everybody. And I'm saying that you need to demolish it, but you have to first and foremost have a sense of authoritarianism, or at least a sense of control. A lot of the regions, when it comes to like Boko Haram or all these terrorist groups, they usually go to areas where there's lack of administrative control, when there's no institutions. Institutions are the most primary building block. The reason I don't also go on the idea of tribalism most of the time is because when you look at nations like, for example, most of this problems here is when it comes to East versus West Africa. I've noticed at least most of the problems they are talked about are mostly happening in West Africa. That doesn't mean there's no tribalism in East Africa, but it manifests differently. East Africa, like countries like Kenya, still have tribalism, but their tribalism are mostly concentrated in who they vote for, but it's not as noticeable in the younger generations. Younger generations of Kenyans, they don't really care about who's their president. They all look at them as corrupt. And I look at that as a good thing, because at the same time, when you look at those people, they're saying, hey, these people, regardless of which tribe they're from, they're now representing all of us. Okay. And another country to look at is doing a different model is Tanzania. Tanzania has about 120 ethnic groups, 120. Yet they have, again, almost no tribal politics that they have to deal with. Why do you think so? Because Tanzania has, one, a sense of identity. Okay, they have something called Uhuru and Umoja, and that was introduced by the
Ubuntu.
No, Ubuntu is South Africa, but I understand.
Oh, okay, same thing.
Yeah, but the idea is that, simply put, there a sense of, like, I'm from Tanzania. Okay, people can marry with different tribes. It is not that much of a issue, and that doesn't mean that Tanzania has solved all these problems. But one thing a lot of people, of course, with what happened recently, is that people want democracy, but I have never looked at history and seen what nation can you point to me that is actually able to solve its problem through democracy without building strong institutions first. Look at America. They offered democracy, but not to all of its citizens. When they did offer to some of its citizens, they were trying to take it away. Look at Taiwan, for example. They are basically, the Kuomintang in Taiwan were an authoritarian state. South Korea is democracy right now, but they were also under military dictatorship. I'm not saying that the AES is following these models. I don't really know. But what I'm looking at is a pattern that I've realized is that you can never have a strong democracy or a strong state without first an authoritarian state that has laid the foundation. Democracy is something you evolve into. And this is the thing where I look at the AES and ECOWAS, is that the ECOWAS, of course, not all of them are exactly the same. Like, I look at countries like Ghana, they are doing very well. But countries like Ghana would be in a most terrible situation if the terrorism, for example, from Libya, they had to pass through Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso before reaching Ghana. Those countries will be affected first, of course, and they had weak institutions, so their institutions fell quickly. Terrorists were able to monopolize on the fact that these people were lacking jobs, were lacking economic stability. So of course they're going to join terrorism. It's not going to matter if it's religion at that point. They're going to use anything, because at the end of the day, they're just going to find whatever they can do to survive. And this is the problem when looking at this issue. My bet, I'm going to say, is that the AES, whether it's going to be successful or not, is going to change the entire region. Because again, one person, I don't know who said it, but the young people, when they wake up, they are looking at people like Troy.
That was me, brother. That was me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that is true. Okay, I'm coming from East Tanzania. I talk to my cousins over there, very well educated. Okay, stable country. I have people in Kenya, and every one of them are talking about Traore or the AES. Because again, in one thing they have in
Same
common
thing I
is
said.
they have one thing they have in common is that they're young. Okay, this is a generational problem. Okay, it's not again. When you look at Nigeria should be a superpower. Nigeria, I'm in college right now with a lot of Nigerian students, smart, very capable. These are not people who are going for business. They are engineers, electrical engineers, computer engineers. Okay, they are smart. They're studying their masters, PhD, capable people. But when I ask them, do you ever go back? No. Why? Because I don't like my country. Okay, they love their people. Don't get me wrong, but they don't like their country. I don't think they hate the people. They hate their government. Their governments lack any control. Their governments lack any execution. Keyword is execution. If I have an idea right now and I want to start it, and my government is making it more difficult, that's a problem. The Nigerians who are succeeding in Nigeria are succeeding in spite of the government, not because of it. And that's the issue. Nigeria right now, again, is a disappointment, not because of its people, but because of its government, because it's not able to execute very well. Because again, tribal politics are a thing. But when you look at every nation. A lot of people look at China with the rebellion that happened, with the massacre that happened, with the hunger and famine that happened. A lot of Chinese, again, they will say it is unfortunate that it had to happen, but it was necessary for China for it to become successful. Because only after going through that did people realize that we need a strong executional arm for a government before any kind of democracy happens. And a lot of people don't know this, but there is democracy in China. It's just not about electing the president. They elect their local leaders. Their local leaders are given they're told, hey, you need to build a certain amount of roads, and whether they do build that they're going to be voted out. But that democracy is limited to the local areas. And people might be finding funny because they've never traveled, even though they call themselves, passport people. They don't really understand geopolitics, and they don't talk to people from these nations. And that's the problem with it. But again, that's just what I'm going to say. It's a generational issue, and it's the fact that democracy is being enforced on people who don't have a strong institution.
All right, cool. Hey, we're close out. Everyone, thanks for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family. Down to Samir Search for Peace.